scared to leave my relationship because I don't want to be alone. Is that normal? Baby boy, you have no idea how normal that is and how many adults are in relationships just so they can say that they have one so that they do not be alone. So yes, it's completely normal, but I want you to ask yourself this. Are you staying for love or are you staying out of fear? And it looks like fear would be it because you said, I don't want to be alone. Okay. So because fear is based stained turns into resentment later. You're going to feel resentment if you stay with this person. It's going to be scary to walk away. Yes, it's going to be scary to be on your own. But I think that it would be in your best interest to disconnect from this person. You're listening to WGSL Online Talk Radio 104.7, the space where clarity meets courage, where healing meets action, and where you come to get aligned with the version of yourself you're growing into. I want to take a moment to welcome everyone in. You're listening, whether you're listening to me for the first time or you've been walking with me on this journey for a while, I am grateful your journey led you here today. And I want to remind you, you don't have to do life alone. Sometimes all you need is a shift in perspective. And this is the Daily Dose with your life coach, Gina Cherie. All right. So our today's topic is you're not stuck. You're scared to start over. So again, you're not stuck. You're scared to start over. I think today's topic is one that touches almost everybody at some point in their life. I think every one of us wanted to make a change. I think every one of us had that moment where we are afraid to start over, afraid to go after that new job, afraid to go after that new position, afraid to ask for a raise, anything that may be hindering us, then I think that everybody had that moment in their life where they wanted to do that, but somehow fear and being overwhelmed has interfered with that. But people rarely stay in situations because they're happy. They stay because they're familiar, and familiar feels manageable, it feels predictable, and it also feels safe. But being familiar can also keep you in a space where you've outgrown. Now, if you are a frequent listener of the Daily Dose, we're all about encouragement and speaking life into anyone that wants to grow and become the better version of themselves and go after the life that they really want, right? So this falls along right with the other topics that we have had of not being stuck, feeling stuck, and being able to take that leap and go after what you want. Like I said, familiar feels manageable, predictable, and safe. They could also keep you in places where you have outgrown. Why am I talking about this today? I feel as if when I hear people around me keep talking about, well, I want to do this, but I'm scared. I've been wanting to try this, but I don't know if it'll work out. I wanted to start writing that book. I just don't know what the title, I don't know exactly what to say. Like, this is for those people, right? If you've been in the same relationship, job, environment, or even a mindset for a long time, the idea of starting over feels overwhelming. But let's break down some truth. You're not stuck. You're hesitating. And hesitation is simply fear dressed up as logic. I'm going to say that one more time if you missed it. Hesitation is simply fear dressed up as logic, right? We have convinced ourselves, what if it doesn't work? What if I lose everything? What if I fail? But I want you to change your mindset, right? Because we had mentioned it's been stuck in a mindset for a long time, right? So I want you to rethink things. It's not going to happen overnight, but this is something that you can start working on and making it a habit of yours to basically think of the glass half full instead of thinking of the glass half empty, right? And I want you to ask yourself, instead of saying, what if it doesn't work? What if I lose everything? What if I fail? I want you to ask yourself this: what if I succeed? And what if life on the other side is lighter, brighter? And is it more aligned with who you're wanting to become? I'm going to say this again. You can write this down. So if you've been listening to the Daily Dose, then you know that we have journal prompts and we write things down. So if you haven't gotten your journal or something to write with, I want to encourage you guys to do that as well, so that you guys can not only stay in tune to what you want to work on and reflect back with the work that you have already done, so that you can reflect back to see how far you have come. I don't know why I'm being tongue-tied today, but stay with me. So you guys can write this down. Instead of asking yourself, what if it doesn't work? What if I lose everything? What if I fail? Ask yourself, what if you succeed? And then not only what if you succeed, but I want you guys to jot down some things that would change for yourself if you go after whatever you're seeking, right? So add that with that, okay? And now I want you guys to go into starting over isn't a setback, it's a strategy, okay? I know at times we don't know what's on the other side. I know at times that we don't have a safety net when we have to start all over, and some of us are forced to start over. Maybe there was a circumstance that you were in that was out of your control that forced you to start over. So we're not sure of our safety net, but sometimes having a strategy will help you out. And this is what I mean, just in case my words are confusing right now. When I wanted to relocate, because I was in an environment which I was unhappy in, okay? And I needed to make a decision where I was going, and I was driving people crazy. First you say you want to go here, then you want to go there, then you want to go this. But when I finally made a decision, not knowing everything that was going to lie ahead, but I went in with a strategy, right? So the strategy, was it inconvenience? Yes. Was it slightly overwhelming? Yes, but I had an end goal. So I had to stay on that strategy so that I can get to my end goal. My end goal was to relocate. So what I did was I figured out where I was going. I made that decision. Here it is. Boom, going. I went in, I sought employment in the new location. Now that caused me to travel pretty far for about a month. But I knew that I did not want to go too long in between having my paychecks, right? So I put the 2 weeks in, and I had already got hired at where I was relocating. And so I did that, started working. So my final check from where I was aligned perfectly with me getting the new check from where I started. And so I traveled about 2 hours in and 2 hours back for about a month before I found my place, right? So that was my strategy. And it worked out in my favor because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't lapse of a paycheck. So when I got my last one, I was getting my first one as well. So there was no big lapse in between paychecks. And so that worked out in my favor when it came time to find a place. And you know, everybody knows what it takes to move into a new place, right? And so that was my strategy. I wanted to make sure I wasn't lacking in income. So was it overwhelming? Yes. Was I tired of driving back and forth? Yes. Um, but I kept telling myself, we're going to sacrifice now so that I can have what I want later. And I am grateful that I remained safe during the travel, and that I stuck to my strategy, um, and it worked out. Now, I'm not saying that everyone strategy is going to be the same. I'm not saying that you might you might not have any hurdles, any hiccups that you're going to have to face. But what I am saying is, if you have in place some type of strategy to help you move forward, then that's better than not having anything, right? And yeah, so just make sure while we are trying to move forward that we have some type of strategy. Okay. You want a new job, that is fine. You deserve a new job, a better position, maybe it's better money. But what I don't want you to do is act off of emotions. Fuss people out, quit your job. And how many of us been there? And then don't have any income coming in to support yourself or your family if you have one. So that's where your strategy comes in. You know, you want to make a move, and you know your time is up at that spot. You've outgrown it, it's not going anywhere. You need to get better, a better position, right? To make better money for you, for your family. But there's a way to go about that, and that is making your strategy. Okay. Um, so we're in like mid section right now. So I want to welcome everybody that had just tuned in. If you're joining us right now, you're listening to the Daily Dose with Life Coach Gina Cherie on WGSL Online Radio 104.7. Okay. Today's topic is you're not stuck, you're scared to start over. So settle in with us and let this message meet you exactly where you are. We just left off by asking yourself what happens if you do succeed, instead of asking yourself what if it doesn't work, or what if I lose everything, or what if I fail. We're going to change our mindset, right? I gave you an example of a strategy, a pretty long example, but you guys got the point. So that's where we left off at, right? Why starting over feels scary. We're going to break down some other fears, other than the three that we mentioned. Well, fear of failure. You rather deal with the unknown, with the known discomfort, than risk your unknown future. So let me say that one more time. You'd rather deal with the known discomfort, right? Because you're familiar with being in that space, right? So it may be uncomfortable, you might be unhappy, but it's predictable for you, so you know what's going to happen, right? So then dealing with the risk, and unknown future, right? But staying where you're unhappy is already a failure. You're just familiar with that failure, right? Um, and fear of judgment, number two. There's a lot of people that are staying in places because they're fear of somebody else's judgment and what they might think about them, right? You're afraid of how others will interpret your change. But nobody else is living your life or feeling your feelings. Maybe you are afraid of losing people, which anybody knows, if you're growing, you're going to lose people. And let me be very, very, very clear. Um, Losing people is not, I'm just going to put it this way. Losing people is not a loss. There are some people that are not meant to grow with you. And there are some people that are not meant to be on this journey with you no longer. They serve their purpose. You got to understand, people come into your life for several reasons. You have to figure out that reason. And either they are a blessing, or they're a hindrance, right? There's a lot of people in your life that condone bad behavior. There's a lot of people in your life that don't want you to grow, and they're comfortable with where you are at in your life, and they do not want you to grow any further, or they don't want you to be better than them. So some people um, will look at you differently. They may not want to talk to you anymore. They may not want to be your friends no more. May not want to be part of your life. They might start trying to make you feel as if you're the one acting weird. You're the one that's doing things, and that's a projection. Let's make that clear. And so when you come across people like that in your life, that's when you need to understand that you need to disconnect and reconnect somewhere else, right? We have to stop living our lives dependent upon other people's expectations of us. That's how I wanted to say that, because I find a lot of adults trying to live up to other adults' expectations. And I'm not concerned whether it's your mom, your father, or whoever it may be. You have to understand your life is your life. You have to understand that your life deserves peace, right? And if you want to make a better life for yourself, and it doesn't fall in line with what the life they want for you, you have to have enough courage to be okay to stand on your own and live the life that you see fit, as long as that life is not hurting anyone else, right? And so I like to reiterate things from time to time because I think that's important. People think that you're the only one feeling this way, and you're not. There's a lot of people out here that are feeling the same way. So sometimes we just got to remind ourselves that our life is our life. And if you want better for yourself, you're allowed to have that. If you want to go to a certain college and your parents want you to go to this college, it's okay to be like, I don't want that. That was your life. I want to do this for my life, right? Oh, and that's a whole nother topic too that I hear a lot of people, uh, especially like seniors and stuff. Like they want to go to college, they have a college in mind, but their parents want them to go to the college that they went to and to pick out the life that they wanted, and yada yada yada. So that's a whole nother topic as well. And no, I don't agree. But we'll leave that for a whole nother topic, right? Number three, fear of losing stability. So we had mentioned that. Your brain gets attached to a routine. Even unhealthy routines feel safe because they're predictable. How many of us have have lived that way, or still living in that mindset? Whether it's toxic and unhappy, but it feels familiar to you, right? So I tell a lot of people, change doesn't come until you change your mindset, because everything it starts right here. And until you change that mindset that and tell yourself that you deserve more, you deserve better, you're going to remain where you are. So once your mind and your heart and your actions align, that's when you definitely see the change, right? Number four, fear of rebuilding. Okay. Rebuilding takes time, energy, emotion, and patience. Um, it definitely took patience when I was relocating, that patience to get up extra early, drive 2 hours, and then work 9 hours and drive 2 hours back, child. That was some dedication, and that was definitely some patience. But it takes time, energy, emotions, and patience. But rebuilding also gives you power. It also gives you freedom, and it also gives you control. So you guys can write this down if you need to. fear of rebuilding. I'll say it one more time. Rebuilding takes time, energy, emotions, and patience. So, ding, ding, ding. If you guys want to write this down in your journal, or if you want to write this on your yellow sticky notes, you can do so at this time. I will read it one more time. Rebuilding takes time, energy, emotions, and patience. But rebuilding also gives you power, freedom, and control. Okay? So write that down. Say it how many times as you need to until you remember it, so that you guys can have it. Okay? And remember, you're not afraid of starting over. You're afraid of the emotional work that comes with it. Okay? So we're about to jump in, 20 minutes in. So we're doing a great time, you guys. But let's jump in and let's do a few emails, Instagrams. Ooh, people be like DMing me on Instagram, and ooh, guys, we have some coming from all the way from California, Atlanta. Okay, so let's jump into this one. Tasha from Atlanta. Gina, I've been at my job for 11 years. I'm miserable but scared to leave because it's all I know. How do I know it's time to move on? All right, so my answer to you, Tasha from Atlanta, when you spend more time drained than fulfilled, you've already outgrown your space, right? Um, Feeling stuck is your clarity. Okay. And your clarity is speaking loud and clear. So that's what I would say to you or to anybody. If you're doing something and you're miserable, you feel drained, um, that's your clarity speaking to you that you're ready to move on. You're ready to move up. And you've outgrown that space. So, Tasha from Atlanta, that's how I'm going to answer your question. And I hope that that helps you out. Moving forward and growing is definitely uncomfortable. But I will say that if you know in your heart of hearts, which I think you do, moving on would be totally fine. I encourage you to fulfill what's best for you. In spite what anybody else may say around you, just have your strategy in place and go for what you deserve. That's what I would tell you. So good luck, Tasha. Thank you for emailing me. You did that quick, girl, because you got that in. So I would definitely encourage you to, after you do your strategy and you move forward, check in with the Daily Dose to let us know how that goes. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we got Instagram, Instagram DMs. Bree. Okay. What if starting over disappoints my family? Okay, so we talked about that one. So baby girl, we're not worried about disappointing your family. What I'm worried about you disappointing yourself. Okay. Your family expectations of you and what your expectations of yourself. As long as your expectation is in a positive direction, right? And you're moving forward in the way in which you feel comfortable, and what works out best for you. I would say your family doesn't live your life. And your emotional experiences. And you're not responsible for anybody's expectations for you. And you deserve to have your own peace, right? So we just mentioned that earlier. Yeah, the expectations that people set, I'm going to change this around real quick. Do not let anyone's expectations be put on you, because one thing I have learned is that everybody in your space, family, friend, foe, whatever they are, everybody's not happy for you. So their expectations that they place on you sometimes is a projection of where they're at in their life and them feeling that they can't go any further, if my words are making sense. So what are you saying, Gina? What I'm saying is, if you got people around you that don't want to go any further, that don't see life getting any better because they're not actively trying to pursue anything better, they're complacent into where they are at. Do not let their low expectations be left upon you. Okay. If you want to grow, if you want to go back to school, if you want to write that book, if you want to start that business, and you're surrounded by people that don't see anything better for themselves because they don't want to try, they're going to either talk you out of or make you feel as if you're not capable of wanting more, doing more, because now you're no longer equal to them because you're not in that box with them anymore. You want to think outside the box and you want to move forward and you want to grow. You want to be better, right? So be careful on who you align yourself with, right? Be careful of who you call friend, and make sure that your circle, and make sure that the people that you associate yourself with, they want you to succeed and be your best, and you want them to succeed and be their best, right? You guys hear me say this all the time on the Daily Dose. If they are not for you, if they're toxic in any way, if they're hindering you, if they're belittling you, anything, unplug for them, because those are not your people. Because your people are going to want you to be at your best. They're going to encourage you to go after uh, things that will better your life. They're going to speak life into you as well as you speak life into them. And let me make this very, very clear. Real friends, they are not in competition with you, right? If you have people in your circle that's competing with you and always trying to outdo you, do better than you, please disconnect from them, because those are not your real friends. Real friends will celebrate your wins, will hug you through your losses, and encourage you, and they will also hold you accountable, right? Those what my everybody has their own definition, but this is what the Daily Dose definition of what a friend should be in your life. Friend, family, whoever, right? So that's what I would say to you. Your emotional experience is yours. Your life is yours. You cannot die and come back and have another life. So if someone's expectations of you is different than what you have for yourself, you must be strong enough to go for what you want in your life, because it's your life, right? All right. I didn't mean to spend that much time on that one, but you got the point. Let's keep going. Thank you, Bree, to DM me on Instagram. If you guys want to write in, email me, DM me with questions or anything from a previous show or the day that we do a show, you guys can do so. My Instagram is The Daily Dose, and my email is host Gina Sherrie, GinaSherrie @gmail.com. Okay. And I'll give you guys the my social media handles in the email at the end too. Okay. Excuse me. We have Marcus in California. Whoop whoop, Cali. I'm scared to leave my relationship because I don't want to be alone. Is that normal? Baby boy, you have no idea how normal that is and how many adults are in relationships just so they can say that they have one so that they do not be alone, right? So yes, it's completely normal, but I want you to ask yourself this. Are you staying for love, or are you staying out of fear? And it looks like fear would be it, because you said, I don't want to be alone. Okay. So because fear is based, staying turns into resentment later, right? You're gonna feel resentment if you stay with this person. Yes, it's gonna be scary to walk away, Yes, it's going to be scary to be on your own, but I think that it would be in your best interest to disconnect from this person because obviously you're not happy, um, and you're ready for a change. And sometimes being alone will help you to regain focus. And I think that's what you need. I think you need clarity. And I think that you need to be comfortable within yourself. You need to be comfortable being alone. However time that you need to be comfortable with yourself, because it's clear that you're not. Because you're saying that I'm scared to leave this relationship because I don't want to be alone. Um, I think you need to take that leap, but before you exit the relationship, I think that you should have an adult conversation with this person and be honest. I don't think that you should lie about anything. And please don't you use this, it's not you, it's me. I want you to sit and have an honest conversation. If you cannot have an honest conversation word to word, I think that you could write this down and give it to this person. But also by writing it down, you also need to be truthful with your feelings. Um, is breaking up with someone hurtful? Sure, it is. But if you're no longer being fulfilled in a way that in which that you deserve, I think that it's time to exit left. But just have an honest conversation with this person. I think that person deserves that much. And I think you should take this time to reflect and to collect your thoughts and your emotions and give yourself clarity, um, and start working on you. So that way, when you enter a next relationship, that you're in it for the right reasons. You want to stay for the right reasons, right? Um, so that's what I would say to you. Because you don't want anything to be resentment. Especially dealing with somebody else's feelings, like you staying there because you know you're unhappy, you're not giving the relationship your all. It's not fair to you, but it's also not fair to that other person. Um, yeah, so that is my advice to you. Do we have another one? I think we have another one, guys, and then we'll move on, okay? My another Instagram DM at Life with J. Okay. How do I start over without feeling like I'm failing? Okay. Well, starting over is a proof that you're evolving, not failing. People who never change their lives are the ones who are truly stuck. Renovation is not failure, it is growth. So I think every day people should be evolving. You shouldn't be doing the same thing that you did yesterday. Hopefully, the day before you learned something to bring you into the next day. I think as humans, as people, we should always be in a position where we're evolving. And yeah, that's what I would say. So you're not failing. I feel like if you stayed where you were, um, to me, that's a failure to yourself. And you're like, well, I say this because if you do not try to improve, if you do not try to go after something better, you failed. So everything that we try may not work out for us. Everything is not for us, right? But how do you know if you do not try, right? Starting over, you might have started over a few times, but this time you have a strategy set in place and you should have learned something this time, right? I started over a few times. Earlier in the show, I gave an example of me relocating. But this time I relocated with a strategy and it was different this time. No safety net. Hmm. But I knew I needed a strategy in place, right? And I'm going to an unfamiliar area. And I didn't know anybody, right? I was grateful enough to meet some really good people so far. But I didn't know anybody when I got here. And I still came. I came with my strategy. So I would say the same thing to you. Make sure you have a strategy in place. But you starting over, whether big or small, you're evolving. And we should be evolving every day. So I encourage you to keep moving forward, and keep your strategy in place, and look at the positive things. I want you to ask yourself, what if you do succeed at whatever you're doing? Um, and think of the glass half full and not half empty. Um, yeah, and renovation is not failure, it's growth. You're growing. So continue to grow, continue to work on you, continue to stay focused on where you where you're going and where you want to be. And I think everything is going to work out for you. But as I always ask, uh, write in and let me know how's everything's going. Do your check-in, DM me again and let me know what's going on. So we like to keep up with our daily dose listeners. And yeah, and we'll go from there, right? Now let's give you some signs that you're ready to start over, okay? And let's see. You might be ready to start over if you daydream about a different life. How many of us be sitting in our jobs just wishing that we was doing something else? Um, you feel emotionally heavy in certain spaces. Okay. You keep saying I'm fine, but you're not. How many of us use that tired line over and over again? I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And inside you are not fine, and you're going home crying in your pillow or crying in the shower so people can't see you, right? Um, you keep saying I'm fine, but you're not. Okay. You stay busy to avoid thinking. How many of us do that? You've lost excitement for the future. You feel guilty for wanting more. And I think guys should put a star on that one because I'm definitely going to run through these again, so you guys can play back. Everything gets posted to Spotify, so if you guys want to listen to this and play this back and kind of go over it and ask yourself these questions, and if any of them resonate with you, then that's your sign of starting over, right? Um, You've lost excitement for the future. You feel guilty for wanting more. You feel mentally exhausted, but spiritually restless. Okay, I'm gonna run through these one more time. Uh, you might be ready to start over if you daydream about a different life. You feel emotionally heavy in certain spaces. You keep saying I'm fine when you're really not. You stay busy to avoid thinking. You've lost excitement for the future and you feel guilty for wanting more. The last one, you feel mentally exhausted but spiritually restless. Okay. So if any of those feel familiar to you, that could be your sign that it's time to move on. Uh, all right. How to start over without fear running your life. Okay. Be honest with yourself. And you guys hear me say that all the time, especially when you're doing your journal prompts, and writing down in your journal. Honesty is the best policy. You cannot make a change if you're not honest with what needs to be changed, right? What do you want? Who are you becoming? What are you done tolerating? Okay, I'll say that one more time. Be honest with yourself about what you want, who you are becoming, and what you're no longer tolerating. And tolerating what you're no longer tolerating, that goes back to your boundaries, right? I told you in past episodes that everybody should have boundaries, right? This is part of you setting boundaries. Okay. Number two, release the old version of you. Starting over requires emotional detachment from old identities. I will say that one more time. Starting over requires emotional detachment from old identities. Okay? Take one small step today. Remember the episode where we talked about the micro moments? This is part of your micro moment, okay? Make a decision, a conversation, a boundary, a plan, a change. So ding ding ding. You guys can use this and write this down on in your journals. Or if you're doing your yellow sticky notes, you can do that there. Or if you're writing on your mirror, you can do that there. Okay. A decision, a conversation, a boundary, a plan, a strategy, a change. Okay. Uh, you don't have to leap. You just have to move. Okay. It doesn't have to be drastic, but you just have to move. Okay. So, our weekly journal prompts and tasks. So if you guys are familiar with the Daily Dose, as if this is your first time tuning in to the Daily Dose, we do give weekly journals, prompts, and tasks. So this is something that I want you guys to grab your journals if you haven't already grabbed them. And this is what I want you to write, and I will repeat it. Where in my life am I pretending to be comfortable when I'm actually afraid to begin again? Okay. So, one more time. Where in my life am I pretending to be comfortable when I'm actually afraid to begin? Okay. And I want you guys to be raw, be real, and be honest. Be raw, be real, and be honest, right? Change cannot come if you're not honest about what needs to be changed, right? Choose one fear that you've been avoiding and then take one action. Okay. Uh, so write that down as well. That's part of your journal prompt. Choose one fear you've been avoiding and take one action that moves you through it. Okay. One fear you've been avoiding. So one of my fears that I've been avoiding that I should be excited to. I've been doing hair for 23 years. Okay. This is what I know. I can sleep, eat, breathe hair, right? I'm good at what I do because of the time spent, the schooling, the everything that I put forth into this career. Okay. My fear that I'm avoiding is putting my shears down and picking up a new career. That is a fear. And I have expressed this fear to a few people in my circle. And I know that I worked hard to graduate with an engineering degree, audio engineering degree. And I've been talking about switching careers and how doing hair is no longer a fulfillment for me and I'm ready for a change. This change is in my face right now. Fully transparency right now. I am terrified of making this switch. And I'm not only telling you, this is not just for you, but this is for me as well, right? I would never share anything and encourage you guys to do something that I'm not willing to do for myself. So my fear that I'm avoiding is putting my shears down and picking up an engineering position. Okay. Um, so I need to change my mindset and ask myself, what if I do succeed? What if this does work out? What if it is brighter on the other side of this engineering? And I worked my behind off to graduate. I fulfilled that. Now it's time to put my strategy in place so that I can move forward and go after what I know I deserve. So, yes, I'm afraid, but as you put the work in, I'm here to put the work in with you, right? So you guys know mine. And so I want to hear from you, and we can make this a next segment if you like to. You guys can DM me on my Instagram at the Daily Dose, and you guys can tell me one fear you've been avoiding. And tell me how you're going to take action to that, right? If you guys want me to share that, you guys can definitely give me permission to share that on our show. If you guys want to email me, as you guys seen, I read emails that came in, and you guys emailed me quickly. When I told you what the topic of today was, you guys not hesitate to DM me, email me, and get those in so that so you guys can be part of the show tonight. So I really appreciate you guys from Atlanta to California for all the DMs, everybody that jumped on there quickly and that reached out to me. So definitely continue doing that, you guys. I love to interact with you. And if you're not doing that, if you're listening to it on Spotify, you guys can leave me a message right here on Spotify as well. It gets sent directly to my phone, and I do answer. And we can take the conversation from there to back to here. And if you guys want a topic that you guys want me to talk about on the show in later future episodes, we can do that as well. So DM me at my Instagram at The Daily Dose, and email me at host Gina Sheree, GINASHERRIE at gmail.com. Yeah. So other than that, we have come to the end of this segment, you guys. It went a little bit over 30 minutes, but I think this was a good episode. Let me know what you guys think. But you guys have been listening to the Daily Dose with Life Coach Gina Sheree on WGSL Online Radio 104.7. Thank you guys so much for sharing the space with me. Remember, you're not stuck. You're standing at the start of your next chapter. All it takes is one step. Once again, if you guys want to stay connected with me on my Instagram, is The Daily Dose. And if you have a question that you want featured on the show, or a topic that you guys want me to dive into, you guys can email me at host Gina Sheree, GINASHERRIE at gmail.com. All right, until next time, be gentle, give yourself grace, trust your shift, and take one step toward the life you know you deserve. I'm your life coach and your host, Gina Sheree.